What's going on, everybody? Welcome on into the Jets Report. My name is Patrick Siepman. Now, coming up on today's show, we're going to be diving into a recent ESPN article where they were ranking every single team's roster heading into the 25-26 NFL season. So where did the Jets land? They also gave out a starting lineup for each team. So we'll dive into all that on today's show. But before we do so, if you guys could hit that subscribe button today. We're still trying to catch the Packers report in terms of total subscribers. They have just over 8,300, and we just crossed over 7,500. So first off, shout out to all the real ones who have already hit that subscribe button. But if you guys haven't just yet, go down there, hit that subscribe button today. We will keep you guys posted with everything around your New York Jets. And once you have hit that sub button, just give me a me down below in the comments section. All right, so ESPN, they're ranking every team's roster, and I will say the Jets got incredibly disrespected in this list. So, obviously, the Jets weren't in the top 8. Here were the top 8 going the Ravens, then went to the Eagles, the Lions. I was a little shocked that they didn't have the Super Bowl champs reigning at number 1, but then they had the Bills at 4, Chiefs at 5, then the Denver Broncos, Commanders, and Rams followed suit. But in the 9-16 range, still no New York Jets. They had the Bengals at 9, Niners, Vikings, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, went to the Houston Texans, and 2 more NFC North teams with the Green Bay Packers and Chicago Bears, and also Los Angeles Chargers at number 16 on this list. But then the Jets still aren't on the other list either. They had the Arizona Cardinals at 17, Dallas Cowboys, Pittsburgh Steelers, Seattle Seahawks. Then they had the Patriots, Jags, Raiders, and Dolphins. But then the Jets weren't even in the top 28. They actually came in at number 29 on these rankings, having the Colts, Falcons, Giants, and Titans all ahead of them. The only 3 teams below the New York Jets were the Panthers, Browns, and Saints. And by no means am I saying the New York Jets should be top 10, top 15 on this list. But going into last season, I felt like the Jets were the most overrated team in the NFL, where they had all this hype around Aaron Rodgers. They're actually the favorite to win the division heading into last season. I thought that was ludicrous, but now I almost feel like it's flipped on its head. Where now the Jets are one of the most underrated teams because they really didn't have too many big losses. It's still the team that everybody was buying into with Aaron Rodgers, but now we have a much better coaching staff, Aaron Glenn, Ingstrad, and Steve Wilks. So I understand most people aren't super high on this football team, but to have them 29th, I think is absolutely ludicrous. Now, let's talk about the starting lineups that they had for the Jets. Obviously, they had QB1 being Justin Fields on this list. I think Fields has a chance to really have a strong bounce back year. First time in his career that a team is really buying into him and, playing into his strengths. So hopefully Fields bounces back and has a solid season with New York. But then they also had the running back room. No Isaiah Davis here. Obviously, I had to go with Breece Hall and Braylon Allen in the starting unit, which, no disputing that both these guys will get a whole lot of carries. It's going to be more of a running back by committee this season for the Jets. So no shockers there. Now, none of the young guys actually cracked the wide receiver room in terms of the starters for this season. You got Garrett Wilson on the outside, do-it-all receiver, that true X. But then they actually had Josh Reynolds and then Allen Lazard slotting in at the slot position. So no Arian Smith, no Malachi Corley. Now, that could change during training camp at the preseason. But as it stands right now, and probably most likely heading to week 1, these will be your 3 starters at the wideout position. But the offensive line, one of the biggest, question marks on this roster as, there's obviously a ton of talent, but it's going to come down to staying healthy, especially on the interior, and guys like Fashanu and Membu having breakout seasons. But if these 5 play all 17 games, we're talking about this being a possible, top 5, top 7 unit in the National Football League. Now, on the other side of the field, the defensive line. You obviously got Quinnen Williams, Derek Nottie, Jermaine Johnson, Will McDonald, and Michael Clemens. I love this unit for New York. I think Quinnen Williams, he should have a bounce-back year. And then with Jermaine Johnson, Will McDonald, just continuing to build on what they've done so far in their NFL careers, they could both be sitting on 10-plus sack seasons. Now, also at the starting linebacker position, Quincy Williams and Jamien Sherwood. This is honestly probably my favorite duo at the linebacker position in the entire NFL. Both these guys fly around the football field, great instincts as well. So can't wait to see those guys ball out. But then also in the secondary, they had Sauce Gardner, Brandon Stevens, no A.Z. Thomas or Malachi Moore listed here. Again, we've talked about it. These 5 will probably be your starting secondary, but watch out for A.Z. Thomas taking Brandon Stevens' spot, and then maybe Malachi Moore taking Tony Adams' position at free safety. But I actually don't hate the secondary as it looks on paper heading into week 1 versus Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, we'll dive more into the roster here in a second, but how do they stack up? Give the Jets roster a Madden rating. Scale it for me, 1 through 99 down below in the comments section. You guys, let me know your thoughts. If I had to give it, Probably give it about an 83, 84 overall, but you guys let me know your thoughts in the comments section. So ESPN broke up each specific team into 4 sections where they had their biggest strength, biggest weakness, X factor in 2025, and a non-starter you need to know. And we can start off with their biggest strength here. Shocking that they put the cornerback position. Now, I thought honestly corner would have a spot as the biggest weakness because of the loss of DJ Reed. Yes, you got Brandon Stevens. You're able to get AZ Thomas, but to have that as their biggest strength, I was a little shocked by that. And listen, I just disagree with it. I love that to give the Jets cornerback room some love. Like, you still got Sauce Gardner. Like, he'll carry that room. You still got Michael Carter, a solid slot corner. You know, if he can stay healthy, he's still one of the better nickel corners in the National Football League. But I would have rather gone defensive line or offensive line as the biggest strength. Like, obviously, defensive line, Quinnen, you got the 2 edges. Offensive line, you got solid interior, 2 young tackles. So I disagree with that, but, still cool that the cornerback group is getting some love. Now, biggest weakness, we knew this was coming, quarterback, Justin Fields. Now, I assume this was coming, as Fields is obviously a huge question mark still at this point in his NFL career. But, also Fields, this is the first time in his career where he is a team that's really building around him. He is a team that is leaning into his strengths, where the Jets have clearly put more point of emphasis on the run game this season. You spent a top 10 pick on an offensive tackle. You're going to get Breece Hall, Braylon Allen, Isaiah Davis, that trio at the running back position, a whole lot of touches, and having that dual threat quarterback helps, because we look at the Ravens, we look at the Eagles, 2 of the best rushing offenses in the National Football League. Why are they so effective? Yes, because of the offensive line, the scheme, and the running back, but also both those teams have a dual threat quarterback. And now the Jets have that in Justin Fields. So I think he'll improve the run game. It's just going to come down to him, like it's always came down to in his NFL career, winning from within the pocket. But the biggest X factor they had for the Jets, and I do agree with this to a certain point. They had offensive tackles, just Membu and Fashanu, and I guess that is the biggest X factor, because you think about like the Jets' offensive line, like I was saying, you got a very, very solid interior where I think Vera Tucker, Tippmann, Simpson, they should all be pretty solid this upcoming season. But if you get Fashanu to have a breakout year, Membu looks legit. Year 1 starting, like again, we're talking about that offensive line being one of the sneakiest units in the National Football League. And then the non-starter, the no here, I was very curious to see where they would go for the Jets. I actually went with Josh Myers, just rotational interior offensive lineman. Obviously has that connection with Justin Fields, but this is a guy with the shaky, injury history on that interior. He could step in, play a couple of games here. He could fill in at center. Already has that connection with Justin Fields. So it was pretty interesting to see how the nerds over there at ESPN broke down this roster, but I agree with it for the most part, but still that biggest strength. Not really too sure why they decided to go the cornerback position. Now, again, like I was saying, I think the Jets being 29th on this list is an absolute joke. Like, I'm not saying they should be top 10, top 15, but they should be a lot higher than 29th, because still top to bottom, I think this is one of the most talented teams in NFL. Like, you got blue chippers and you got decent depth. Like Garrett Wilson, Sauce Gardner, Quinnen Williams, those 3 alone should get you to a higher point than 29. Like, are you saying the Jets can be selecting 4th in the draft? Yes, that very well could happen. But almost I feel like the floor of this team is getting, almost underappreciated. Now, is the ceiling incredibly high where they could go on a Super Bowl run? Absolutely not. But I'm sure guys in that organization, guys on that team, they're trying to get that 7th seed in the AFC playoff picture. Now, will they? Obviously, got to wait how it plays out on Sundays. But I just felt like 29th was just a little too low for the New York Jets. But if you guys made it to the end of today's show, hit me with a Go Jets down below in the comment section. We appreciate all of you guys for tuning in. If you're a real one and watch this entire thing, hit me with a Go Jets down below. And also hit that subscribe button on your way out if you guys have not already. We appreciate all of you guys for watching. Training camp starting. We're going to have a lot more content for you guys. So hit that subscribe button today. We'll see you guys next time. As always, Go Jets.